Mr. Steinberg, I met with a group of 7 Egyptians from Cairo and Alexandria just recently come to the United States, many of them young professionals. And I asked them to give me their opinions on what needs to be done. And I'm just going to share with you sort of their list from the front lines. And the first observation they make is they shared with me that we need strict implementation of international human rights laws in this country, and that there should be some discussion of this in the United States. A guarantee of basic freedoms by holding accountable those who violate international human rights laws. The second thing they see missing from the discussion is an end to all discriminatory acts that are based on ethnicity and sex and religion throughout all sectors of society, and most important, some kind of discipline for those who violate that prohibition. They ask for eradication of all ideologies in the education system, and because those install discrimination and hatred among students starting at the preschool level and all the way to the university level. This is partly because they say the Muslim Brotherhood has gotten gotten control in the educational system and is using it for that purpose. The fourth thing they'd like, these are the young students that were in the streets, all right? They want awareness of the imminent danger of radical religious groups in Egypt, such as the Muslim Brotherhood, which to some extent, they say, is funded by Iran. And one of the things they report is that there is walking around money, and there's food that has been provided by the Iranians. And it's annoying to those that are leading the charge to have on the streets, a foreign influence, and they'd like that known. They say that this group has already infiltrated the backbone of some of Egyptian society, and they ask for a reformation to the judicial system, a reformation which currently supports a corrupt regime and does not provide justice to the citizens through the implementation of the laws. They say bribery and corruption are the norm within most of the judicial branch, and report the young professionals told me they pay as many as 25 bribes in order to get a little business going or in order to be professionals, and it's just creating, well, we heard it from Hernando de Soto's report, right? He was the finance minister, former finance minister, I think it was, of Egypt, who supported Hernando's work. Hernando does his study, shows how you could unleash all of this potential growth in Egypt because you only know who owns 10% of the property, and nobody can start a business without doing payoffs. So he lays out the reforms, and the first thing the government does is to sack their minister who supported these reforms. That shows us how much has to be done here. So I would just add to your talking points when you talk about this, a government that respects its people. That's what we want from Egypt, a government that respects its people and isn't corrupt. Let's add that to our talking points about what we want done. I just wanted your opinion about what the students and the young professionals had told me.
Congressman, I think that's an enormously constructive agenda. I think it's an important one that should be a shared agenda of all of us. I think the issues that you've raised are issues that should be of concern and are important to the long-term success of Egypt. So if we haven't been clear enough that that is part of what we hope to see, we'll do a better job. But it is one of the things, especially, I want to agree especially with you on this point of rule of law and corruption, which is a big concern, and it is really critical to the future. So thank you for those suggestions.
Well, there was one other point they wanted to make. They said, there are a lot of good voices, such as the Council of the Wise, which was formed after the January 25th revolution, as well as many other voices in Egyptian society that are well known, that are admired by the people, and are not part of the Muslim Brotherhood. And every one of them was absolutely in terror of what might happen if we end up negotiating and help putting the Muslim Brotherhood in positions of responsibility, because as they shared with me, that is an organization that only exists to take power, put in place an Islamic society, and then carry out the rest of the agenda, which, as one of them told me, the next thing we know, we'll be at war with Israel. I mean, if they get control of the government, because that's If you talk to young people in the Muslim Brotherhood, that's where they're driving the cadres on the street. That's the ideology. And so can you keep them out of the equation? I know we've discussed this earlier, but can you do something to help those voices in Egypt that are so frightened of that consequence?
I think that should be our objective, and that is what we're trying to do. As I said, we have
Thank you.
a program to address this, but we can and will do more.